r/AskReddit by Reddify. Guys on Reddit. How did a woman ruin her chances with you? Got set up to a blind date by a mate. Don't want to name drop my date, but she played a role in a pretty famous civil rights movie, so I didn't expect her to be a racist aunt. We all met at a bar in London and the second sentence out of her mouth was, "There are too many blacks here. Can we go somewhere else?" She didn't take dating seriously and didn't seem to care about the guy's feelings. I was friends with her for a while, but she always had a backup boyfriend whenever she was in a relationship, so she always had a boyfriend. She broke up with guys often and got heartbroken every time she did. She was never the one that got broken up with. She always broke up with them, and she dated a lot of guys. She sounds like she had abandonment issues. Twice she made plans with me, then called them off at literally the last moment for no good reason. Then wanted to reschedule a third time. No flakes. No flakes. The new no scrubs. A girl I went out on a date with made fun of me relentlessly the entire time. Everything I did and said was ridiculed. She texted me a few days later asking if I wanted to go out again, and I said no. She asked why, and I told her I didn't really enjoy being mocked the entire time. She said it was flirting and playful and had a good time. Thought I was fun, and she was interested. She blew it. Was it like banter, or was it just her being mean? For me, I can't go out with someone who can't fire witty banter back and forth. That's the key, back and forth. Otherwise it's just nasty attacks. And on a first date I'd keep it more light and flirty than ball-busting nitpicks. That's long-time friend and family territory. Approx 1 month after we started dating, the conversation goes something like this. I like you better than my ex. Me, really? Why though? He thought more about himself than about me. Me, AMN. How so? He would prefer to buy things for himself before buying things for me. Me, thinking maybe he was buying stupid things like booze or video games. Like what? He said he had to pay for his tuition that semester, and so he couldn't buy me my day gift. So I left him. Yeah. I ran away as soon as possible. He said he had to pay for his tuition that semester, and so he couldn't buy me my day gift. So I left him. Out of curiosity. Was this in 2009? It was. So how would you be a good father to my child? It was a blind date and that was the first thing she asked me. To be honest, she was so out of my league I didn't really stand a chance, but it was still quite off-putting. Your child? No. I get the first one. I have dibs. And besides, I kind of already promised them to an old lady deep in the woods. You can have the second child. As for being a good father too, that one I can promise I'll never sell her off for a witch's favor. Not making that mistake twice. By constantly explaining how her physical features were unattractive. She was a little overweight, but she went into details about every little thing she didn't like about her appearance. I found her attractive. Just couldn't stand arguing about it with her. Fishing for compliments. She wanted you to compliment her eyes. So she'd criticize her eyes and force you to compliment her eyes. Very toxic. It's not always fishing for compliments. Sometimes it's just extreme insecurity. A girl that had been pursuing me for a while and I went on a date to a microbrewery in the area. We each had a couple drinks while catching up and talking about things like our passions and silly stories and such. When the bill came, most of her drinks had been written off. We paid. We left. And almost as soon as we were out the door, she started talking about how stupid the bartender was to not charge us for her drinks, and about how she had used her exiness to manipulate him into charging us less. I liked the girl, but she was not someone who could get drinks on looks alone. And her presumption and judgmental attitude, someone did us a favor and her first thought was to call him stupid. Turned me off to any future dates. This girl, who was someone I didn't know at all, a friend of someone who I had matched with on Tinder, asked me out on a blind date. And then got angry when I didn't pay the whole bill. I think I paid about 60% of the bill. The second time we went out I traveled about an hour and a half to another city after work one night. And then she got mad that I didn't have a place in mind to take her. which I can like sort of understand, but she didn't need to use that as an excuse to ruin our date. This was in Japan and the girl used to work as a hostess, which means they have older dudes buying them meals and handbags and hit all the time. So I guess she was used to having guys at her beck and call all the time. Slept with one of my friends. Used my credit card to buy herself a scooter without telling me and posted on my subreddit about how I had a small DCK. Damn. You got the scooter back though. Went on one date with this girl, 22, and took her to see Oz the Great and Powerful in 3D, and this is what happened. She ordered nachos with cheese, and when offered jalapenos, began shouting "What's a jalapeno Jim want to try?" Then she started coughing and choking when she ate a slice of one, and shouted, "Ooh, why you gonna put that on em? No, don't want it." The cashier and I just looked at each other in disbelief. She ordered an excessive amount of snacks as well. When the film started she kept taking the 3D glasses off and on and waving her hands around while audibly declaring "It's like it's in my face. Never seen a 3D film before." Ducking hell. This caused people to turn around and put their fingers on lips to shush her. I waved apologetically to them. She got up and left halfway through and asked me to go with her. She wanted a cigarette. So we missed a good 10 minutes of the film. During said cigarette break she asked if I had money for weed. I don't smoke, drink or do drugs. After the film I went to draw some cash out of the ATM. At that point she then shoved her head between me and the machine and said, "How much you got?" "Ooh, nice. I'll have some." I was just annoyed at this point and told her I couldn't lend her any money as I needed it. I dropped my wallet in the taxi and PS20 slipped on the floor. She took it and for a solid 2 minutes pleaded with me to could keep it. I said no, obviously. When the taxi dropped her off she leaned in and said, "Can I give you a call later if I want a takeaway?" I said no, because I had spent a considerable amount of money on what should have been a relatively cheap night out. So she walked off in a huff. For the rest of the journey I told the taxi driver what had happened, and we had a good laugh at what a hit night it was. Never saw her again. This is like the date from hell. Honestly. Her bag smelled like a petting zoo that hasn't been cleaned since 1987. The smell was so awful and pungent I couldn't keep an erection. I love the slant rhyme here. Took me for granted and never showed any appreciation. Told me she didn't have time to focus on the relationship because she was focusing on her career. Would spend hours with her friends, but was too busy to spend any time with me. What cold bin? Playing games. Waiting really long to text/call back to make it seem like they aren't too interested. You know, all those little games. I just don't have time for that hit. I like you. You like me. Let's give this a try. Honestly, I find it far more desperate to worry about if it's been long enough to get back to someone, rather than just hitting them up the first chance you get. I'm not chasing you. Girls are too much drama. I prefer guy friends. Everything was going super smooth, but I have been burned in the past cause of that sentence, a lot. Her breath was just awful. Wouldn't take the hint either. And always wanted to French within 2 seconds of kissing. Just a complete turn off for me. Went for a date with a girl I meet online. She was pretty good looking, and I had an awesome time with her on our date. At the end we were sitting on a park bench and begin to kiss. She stops suddenly and goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm vegetarian. Are you?" I reply no, and she starts freaking out, pushing me away and just getting angry, really causing a scene for everyone passing by. She calms down after a few minutes and just goes, "I can't believe I kissed someone whose tongue has touched flesh." Needless to say, there wasn't a second date. Got hooked up on a blind date by a few friends I was serving with. We texted for a few days, and she had a great sense of humor and seemed pretty smart. So we set a date and I went and picked her up. She was really cute and dressed like an adult. Jackpot. It was not a jackpot. We got to the restaurant and the waiter comes over and takes our appetizer and drink order. After he leaves she leans in and whispers he's black. Now I think she's joking, so I lean in and whisper, "Should we tell him? Do you think he knows?" And it stopped being fun right then and there. Date was pretty much over then as she figured out I'm not racist. It was pretty jarring. That's hands down the best response you cold given. 10/10. Smoked a whole pack of French cigarettes. They're these neat French smokes. Turned out to be Virginia Slims. Fast forward her place. I like going down on women. A lot. First time exy time. Mind you, we had 2 dates beforehand. No fancy smokes. She was an ashtray. Down there into her mouth. Smoking cigarettes. I don't judge. But I'm not in there. Sorry. When you ask them what they like to do for fun, and they say get drunk and party with the most vague responses. Going out with other guys while we were dating. And justifying it with well we never drank. I had no idea what that even meant at the time. And thought it was even more stupid after I did learn. Okay, I'm gonna ask. What's DTR? Define the relationship. Apparently it's where you inform one another that you're a physical and no longer allowed go date other people. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.